have called us together here today
Yeah.
for the topic actually that you brought up, which is sort of when is the apocalypse when you play
Uh-huh.
Apocalypse World? And of course, it's a matter of choices and issues and questions, right? That that generates. And I don't know how you have sort of organized it in your mind. I have some ideas about what dials are spinning, but one of the reasons it's relevant is that right now, as of this conversation, it's 2026, 10 years since the publication of the version I'm playing.
Yep.
And then also, I'm freaking ancient ish, and the people I'm playing with are all under 20 years old.
Yeah.
So we all have sort of different, well, conceivably, we have different notions of brokenness and apocalypse and so on. Also, since the game was published, there's been a ton of media that sort of updates these issues in fiction for a new generation, notably Fallout, which didn't exist, right, when Apocalypse World was
Yeah.
made, and now is just common vocabulary, right, for everybody. I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just saying it's kind of weird to kind of be confronted with this, right, in playing the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, any thoughts on that?
Well, I watched the Fallout TV show, and people just sort of in general conversation have been using it around me as a touchstone.
Right.
Um, and that's fine. I think it's fine. Um, like I'm not like, oh, Fallout. Like I'm kind of like that about The Walking Dead. If I had made a zombie movie, I would hate The Walking Dead. Um, zombie movie, I say, zombie game.
Right.
Um, but having made a post-apocalyptic game, like Fallout isn't the end of the world for.
Right. I don't really see it as a problem so much as just some shared vocabulary that wasn't around in that form. I mean, it's a new vocabulary for
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
topic based on what I had in my head based on life history and previous concepts of
yeah.
the apocalypse. Um I think what my guiding principle, my guiding question, or my guiding concept here is your phrase from the rules, which is to put my bloody fingerprints on everything.
Hmm.
So if I put my bloody fingerprints specifically, and given that the nature of the apocalypse and the maelstrom is not textual, um, then that means we're talking to a guy in his early 60s who experienced these issues primarily through the lens of the early 80s.
Yeah.
And those were informed by the fiction and the cultural concepts of about 1960.
Okay.
So, therefore, I mean, just hypothetically, let's just say I'm saying, all right, this is my mode of expression, this is my lens of expression into playing this game, then you're going to get stuff like kind of a critique of Leave It to Beaver,
Okay.
right? Or,
Yeah.
or a serious critique of the Reagan era nostalgia for Leave It to Beaver.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what you would be getting, but that isn't sort of the same as the question of me living here in 2026 playing Apocalypse World and saying what's broken right now,
Yeah.
which would be, the apocalypse happens in 2026 and
Right.
or ish. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
different from, and I'm not saying any of this is a problem. nor is it
Hmm.
something that a group has to have a big group discussion, when is the year of the apocalypse or some shit like that.
I would
But
be dismayed if they did.
yeah, me too. But in given the age range in player and me,
Hmm.
player collectively and me, it's sometimes a little interesting. The I was kind of just going from my own sense of appropriateness and trauma. And of course,
Yeah.
that's why we have this grotesque 60s Sony television,
Right.
as a major feature of play. And the same thing goes for the car. They got in the car in session 6, by the way. At the end of
Yeah.
session 5, they get in the car. Surprisingly, all of the character dynamics in the car are shockingly familiar. Um,
Oh no.
yeah, I know, I
Oh
know. Go figure.
no.
Go figure. And so, I mean, I barely have to. Anyway, you'll see. But the thing that I'm getting at is that all of these are in the symbol of those times. I mentioned Fallout only because Fallout is kind of similar, sort of a Reagan era
Yeah.
critique of 1960s
Yeah.
politics.
I was gonna say.
So
Yeah.
just because I'm the same age as the showrunner, I would imagine. So
Yeah.
therefore, I I mention it for that purpose. If everybody was the same age and everybody just jumped right in and played Apocalypse World, you'd kind of think there would be a similarity of vision. Here, I don't mind playing with these age discrepancies and this kind of more
Yeah.
syncretic vision, but as the game master, of course, that means I have more input as to what the apocalypse is and when. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not so much about world building. It's not like I'm worried about, oh, am I getting the tech right for the broken tech for the right year of the apocalypse? I mean, it's whatever.
Right.
But
Right.
it's more about who are we? Um
Uh huh.
and what do the bloody fingerprints look like, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your experience from any of this in play or thinking about it anyway?
Well, I have um so when I have run the game at home, it's been for my peers. At conventions, I'm often the oldest person. It's been a lot of years since I've run Apocalypse World at a convention, since before the pandemic,
Right.
if you want to talk about apocalypses. Um,
We have several.
but um, uh, but that's not going to emerge over the course of a convention game, right? Like at a convention game, I'm just waving my hands and barking at whatever I can think of, and there's no opportunity to reflect on what the players are putting back in that kind of depth.
The threats don't
Um,
evolve, the characters don't
yeah,
undergo,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
don't come to life as much. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And like it's sessions before you can start to read what the characters are saying, right? Read what the characters are writing. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I
Um,
mean, this we just played the
yeah,
sixth session, and I think we
yeah,
the conceptual corner is really, really turned.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, um, that's a proud moment. I say in the text that the
I'm well
game
aware of
kicks in
that.
right
Yeah,
around session six.
I read it and said to myself, yeah, yeah, he called that. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, there are a lot of things that make that happen, but the kids, there are a bunch of 20-year-olds who play Apocalypse World at our house every week. And I don't listen in, but I get some behind the scenes previews and some after action stuff
Mhm.
from the GM, who is Toby, who is
Mhm.
our 20-year-old. And I'm not close enough to that to see what they're doing, but I'm aware, I'm close enough to it. I have enough information to see that they are doing their own thing. You know what I mean? That their peer apocalypse world is developing the way our peer apocalypse world
Right.
always did,
Hmm.
but in a way that I don't have access to. Like
Hmm.
the touchstones for me are are often just not there.
Right.
But watching them sort of explore in the sense of exploration, right? Like
Hmm.
they don't. Um, how on earth do I say this? Um, they don't have a scheme.
Mm.
They don't have a schema. They don't have a structured conception of the apocalypse bigger than what they're doing. Yeah. And so playing the game lets them uh, make soup of all of this imagery. Do you see what I'm saying?
I
Like there's
do.
religious stuff in there that I
Yeah.
don't know where it comes from in their
Right.
life.
Hmm.
Um,
I do because
uh,
I have some vocabulary for it. They're treating it idiomatically rather than genre.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Which, yeah.
If I understand, yes.
Yeah. And I think that that's actually really strong. I mean, maybe what I've been saying, struggling to say so far, is that I fear being trapped by genre.
Uh-huh.
And if I would be bringing that by the fact that I'm somewhat of an alien figure to everyone else playing,
Mm.
then and I'm bringing this kind of boxed set of American apocalypse trauma, both from all the
Uh-huh.
media that I've consumed all this time and whatever how it's concretized in my head, that it doesn't have as give and take, it doesn't have a syncretic effect that it could well have. Um, but that's a fear rather than something I'm actually identifying as an issue in play.
Yeah.
It's conceptual fear, and I won't worry about it if it's not real. Um,
Right.
but it is kind of notable that I can kind of feel the difference in this
Hmm.
game. The
Yeah.
players have been it's incredibly clear, the responses around the table to different things, their very real horror at that 1960s commercial I used
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as an apocalyptic, as a psychic maelstrom phenomenon. But their genuine horror that anybody would watch this and, like, buy into it. Oh, good ad, good commercial. It's like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my god. I mean, the very nastiness of saying my dog's better than yours, and that's a selling point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it struck them, right? This is wrong. Why would you advertise like that? It's mean. And the other, um,
Oh, children.
if I may say, I think that whatever we are calling them, Z or whatever,
Yeah.
um, they're a better bunch. They are
That's
super a
been my
better bunch.
experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They're they're kind and they're smart.
yeah, yeah. My take as well. So what happens with this? The other things that have been sort of brought in, the there was some elements of talking about the days before.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some visionary stuff in recent play where people are talking about uh, the way it was before and actually criticizing this collective house that the characters have, um, and the way that they described it. And I was talking about living in your own filth and eating rotten things and hypnotized by screens, and everybody's frustrated and they call themselves a family but they all hate each other, and all this kind of thing. All the people sitting around the table were kind of like nodding, and I was a little chilled that every one of the people around the table kind of said, yeah, yeah, that is how it was before the apocalypse. And I'm thinking,
Uh-huh.
fuck, man. So
Oh, shit,
yeah.
Ron. It's like are our grandparents that obvious?
Yeah.
The kids, like,
Yeah, exactly.
It just occurred to me, 4 players you're playing with? Four
Mm,
young people? 3 young
correct.
people?
Correct.
3.
4.
And 4. What are the playbooks?
We've got the Brainer, who the player is playing him, kind of leaning into the Maester D,
Great.
kind of leaning into that. Just
Yeah.
made his house into a holding, for example. Um,
Yep.
the what the hell are they called? The gang leader, the
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 chopper problem.
chopper, right? So the chopper, and so they're kind of like the two adults. They're the sort of two
Yep.
leader figures. The gang and the holding are now overlapping in personnel.
Yep.
Um,
Good.
and then we've got a savvy head and an angel,
Great.
both of whom are absolute. They're like the Hocus. They're absolute antennas, right? They both have
Uh-huh.
augury out of the gate, and
Yeah.
they're both going heavily into the side of those playbooks which are a little sinister.
Yep.
So the angel player is taking great delight in that her character likes to touch comatose and dead people.
Uh-huh.
To the point where we're like, seriously, you know, are they still conscious? Are they really dead or just kind of dead? Ooh, I want one, and everyone else saying, ew, stop. And so, um, and the savvy head character just is practically like living in the television at this point. So,
All right.
everybody, everybody though is got to the point where they open their brains so much that our actual experience of Apocalypse World is semi-surrealistic at all times. I mean, we're
Uh-huh.
not playing very
That's really cool.
naturalistically, sort of, well, naturalistically enough to be gritty, but it is definitely a surreal, not just the moment of opening your brain, but there's a surreal quality to the whole thing now
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah. So does that help a little?
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. If they interpret themselves through the lens of the television, which through their own activity they often do, you get mom, dad, brother, sister
Yeah.
weirdness, plus that very prominent non player character who is, despite looking human, the family dog.
Uh-huh.
But they're all kind of getting into this very, very effectively. They're the when the sister is saying to the sister, they're not really sisters, they're not siblings, but
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
the angel character, whose name is Des, is shouting at the savvy head character, you know, don't watch that. It's bad for you. You can't watch that thing too much. And he's saying, oh, go away. I'm watching TV. Even though the thing hasn't even worked yet, by the way. It's just like still blank,
Uh-huh.
but they watch it.
Yeah.
But the dynamics, they're playing into the dynamic, the implications, and they're doing so in a way that's not just imitating. They're not merely corresponding to a known set of content so much as it's pretty visceral. They're
Yeah.
um so I guess I'm really happy with how it's going, but I guess I'm a little surprised that, not surprised, I'm kind of happy that we are arriving at sort of a syncretic notion of how the world is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it can't really be articulated yet, but we can feel its pieces.
Yep.
So, um, I'm that's why
That's
I
really
keep
cool.
saying this thing about when is the apocalypse isn't a problem, but it's definitely a feature. I hadn't really
Yeah.
realized how much, and it's a feature of ages of the people playing, a feature of whether you decide is the apocalypse about when the game was published, or is it like when you're actually playing.
Mm-hmm.
um and the whole thing about bloody fingerprints, if you take it seriously, which I really do, means that I'm going to be adding things and giving them nuance and content without really reflecting on any of that intellectually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't help but have it be in variables, content of different kinds that speak to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of, crossing between
Yep.
us, right? Crossing among us, that isn't the same as having the same reference points.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but I think that this apocalyptic notion that this game is a means of expression, which is a
Yeah.
concept I've been working on for a while, and encountering a certain amount of not resistance, but kind of a bafflement among a lot of the people I'm
Yeah.
talking with. They're not quite sure. Expression, I think, has been distorted in role playing
Yeah.
culture. First of all, to simply being very colorful and talkative, right? I say a lot. I make,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also making stuff up. You say, well, if I get to make up stuff in the scene, and you get to make up stuff in the scene, and you get to make up new stuff, right? Content,
Yeah.
then that must
Yeah.
mean we're expressing more, right?
Right. Right.
And none of those are all just methodology. None of those are actually expression. And so this sense that if you don't have it in you to express specific things about X, then it's just not for you. That it isn't just a game that delivers an experience to you from the box. I've been playing a number of games that are published by Fria Ligon or Free League.
Okay.
Which are, there's the Blade Runner one, there's the new version of
Oh, sure.
Drakok Demoner. They've got a bunch of licenses. I think they've got an Alien one. It goes on and on. So they have Vesson, right? But those games all really frustrate me because they actually have some pretty good core engine features, in my opinion. But they are 100% presented as, here is your blowjob in this box.
Mm-hmm.
And you open the box. And it's mostly seen in their ready-to-play introductory material, and especially in any scenarios that they present to play through. Which, a little bit like I've found with King Arthur Pendragon, is that if you actually play with the tools that you're given to play your characters, and in some cases, Blade Runner and Vesson, they do a really good job of giving you a lot of meat to develop, a lot of really good content that you've chosen and that you interpret, or you rolled and then you interpret. Things that give your character some questions, or questions about them. And then you go in, and none of that is going to be relevant to play at all if you play the scenarios and follow the instructions for GMing as presented. None of it's going to matter a bit. You might as well just put a Cockney accent on and just continue from there. You're not going to get any more into play. Right. And so the what I'm saying is that in those games, expression is kind of teased at you. Hey, you get to, here's your guy. Look at this guy full of all this, we're playing the say Blade Runner, and it's, oh wow, memories for humans and memories for replicants really aren't all that different, right? From the inside. Wow. Or something. But when you actually get into this scenario, it's the same old Shadowrun bullshit of, your mission, and this dude has this clue and this dude has that clue. And look, there's a web work. You might go in different order. So I guess it's a sandbox. but we're all going to
Right.
end up, at this spot. And there's all this language about, well, it could go differently. It could go differently. But when it gets to here, make sure they go there.
Yeah.
So the same old,
Um,
do what you want, except make it go right.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone back to school. I'm taking art classes. And so this question of expression is something I'm thinking about a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
In that context, in art classes, I'm taking studio art classes and art history classes, and I just took the best class, Ron, I've ever taken in my life. That was a contemporary art history, so art starting roughly in the 50s or 60s through to today.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic class, fantastic teacher, and but my drawing teacher, who's my advisor, said to me in a crit early on in drawing 2, I guess. She said, well, Vincent, you can draw. Have you considered drawing something you care about? And I was like, fuck.
Right? Isn't that what you and I have been saying to role players for 20 years?
Yeah, right. And so I put myself in Apocalypse World, right? I put myself in the position of saying that to someone, to a player, to a stranger, to a group of strangers. In Apocalypse World, I say it to a GM with a group of strangers. And what a fucking thing to say to somebody you don't have that relationship with, right? Like, right. How do I, instead of saying, Jen, thank you very much, instead of saying, you're kind of slumming it, Vincent, you're kind of wasting your time. How do I provoke expression?
Well, that's an interesting point. It's the sort of thing where if a person isn't there to do it, then you can't, run around making people, want to.
Mm-hmm.
But then also there's the habits of role-playing history or just learning in the first place that you can do this and we are listening.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I'm getting an education, and I've this isn't my first art class I've ever taken. I've gotten an education in expression.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to an audience that definitely includes people who've never had that education.
Right.
Who don't know offhand instinctively from growing up around fine artists and illustrators and craft artists, who don't know instinctively what expression is, and writers.
Well, writers are particularly tricky because most writing training actually obviates against it.
Yeah.
Right. Most writing training is about getting it out for the studio on time. So maybe it's better that they don't have that. But in my case, or here, let me back up a little bit. I've been working hard on this for a while. First of all, I put I got up to the sensitive parts in the cold water just a few years ago, when a really good friend and a very dedicated role player and not any kind of poser whatsoever kind of backed off in the late phases of playing a game when they were game mastering that I was in. And the ending of it all did finish out in a notable, natural ending. That's true.
Yeah.
But the severity of it, and we had elements of that were clear that both players were kind of okay with whatever happens. And the game master kind of, let's just say, softened things a bit. I mean, it was still a grim, depressing and whatever, but I kind of thought, well, I mean, if that's where they want to go and we're all equals, right? We all have our different standards and what we're comfortable with and all that, and what we come up with is syncretic. And I sat and I sat and I thought and I thought and I said, I can't live with that. I have to say, through no failure of system and no violation of play itself, which is saying a lot, right? I mean, nobody didn't, or sorry, nobody shifted into, control mode or anything like that. So there wasn't anything that we would think of as like, shit GMing or failure to GM, right. Turning into story guy instead of game mastering. No, none of that. In fact, if you wanted to sort of do a scorecard of all the things that you and I have promoted about game mastering and play in general in our different ways and not always about the same things, but then, top marks. Except I didn't believe that this is where he would go with this if given, or if he had let himself do it.
Right.
I just didn't feel that. I didn't have a sense of, this is what, there's certain things we did. There should be certain consequences, and those consequences did not come down the road at us.
You were building something. Why did you back off? Why did you back off?
Yeah. So, but this was hard. This is a person with whom I have very, very good personal relations. Yes, there are people in this world with whom I have good personal relationships. Fuck everybody listening to this who just said what. Okay. But the point is that you could kind of get to the feeling that I could say anything with this person and vice versa, and we'd be okay. But I really felt like I was crossing a line by bringing up critique at that level. And even this person who's super nice kind of blinked, and I had to kind of say, look, I tried to set us up for this by saying it would be okay to talk about some really, really different stuff today, right? It was kind of, yeah. He kind of had to, oh shit. Yeah. So we're talking about this now, are we?
Yep.
And I have, since that conversation, I've been, giving a lot of thought and trying to get across that it's a great panel from Matt Groening's Life in Hell all those decades ago, when he was talking about, it was from School is Hell. And the last panel, when the person is graduating from college, and now he's shaved, he's changed his appearance, he's shaved, and he's, and the last person he's talking to in college is some professor who says, well, mispronouncing his name, Mr. Groening, you're tolerably good at what you do. Now is the time to ask whether it is worth doing. Now, the joke of the cartoon is maybe somebody should have said that earlier.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it remains a very powerful question.
Yep.
And so that's what I decided to adopt as kind of my mascot image for this, which is, okay, we have suffered greatly, or not suffered perhaps, or learns to learn from the people who don't suffer how to be any good at role-playing as a medium at all.
Yep.
And not relying upon or hunting for constant fixes in a state of anxiety, which I'm sure I'm not sure if you'll agree. I think that that's what's characterized a very great deal of game design in the last few decades, is constant fixes from a state of anxiety.
Yes, that's certainly where I was when I started. Like I found, since you asked, since you're not sure if I'll agree, right around Apocalypse World. So you and I had been hanging out and designing games for 10 years. I was like, oh shit, I can get this whenever I want it.
Right.
And it really opened up my game design. It really opened up my thinking.
I think I know exactly what you mean, and I agree that there's a transition point when all of a sudden you've decided you're not going to fix things anymore. You're just going to do what you want, or I would like to
Yeah,
play this way.
yeah.
And
But for
for
sure,
me,
those 10 years, there's like this grasping fear that I'm never going to get the good stuff again.
well, and not only that, but how am I going to make people, right, do it?
Yeah,
And then so you get
yeah,
these kind of incentivizing mechanics too, which I think have sort of
yeah.
become a problem. Well, anyway, the the attempt to start articulating this and to start making it a point of learning at its play has been a thing now for 5 or 6 years.
Yep,
And I
yep.
think it has been generally fruitful for a lot of people, but it is still a little fraught. It is
Hmm.
very much moving into the zone of this isn't, I mean, we're not going to call it a huge achievement that you can role play. The person who's playing had played a couple of games last year, and then with this group, this is her first time really launched into a session by session, high attention
Yep,
kind of game. She's better at it than any of us fuckers will ever be, right? And she's going to stay good at it, right?
right.
There's that. Let's quit calling it an achievement to be any good at this. It is something that, yes, you have to develop skill at or learn how to do, but it's not,
Yeah,
intrinsically difficult as such. So
yeah.
therefore, let's get over feeling, oh wow, I'm a master, I'm good at this. And it's like, no, you just freaking, learned how to stop trying to walk on your hands backward instead of actually walking. So so then the question is, what are we doing with it? And
Yep,
I
yep.
think that is an ongoing, but that's really just a basic artistic question. I'm really glad you're taking,
Yeah,
well, for purposes of this conversation,
right. Yeah,
in addition to genuinely being glad that you're doing something you like and learning something you like, but for purposes of this conversation, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is exactly the state of learning that is going to keep us going, and not just be habitual role players with our habitual,
yeah.
routines and habits and preferences, such like,
Hmm.
well, I like percentile systems, oh, I hate percentile systems, and all those other kind of trivial positions that
Yeah,
aren't really positions. um so this thing about expression for Apocalypse World, though, is so interesting, because for however you meant it at the time, or whatever processing was involved at the time, that's the guiding light of the text. I have the first text and have the second text.
yep,
Um, and they're not that different. And
yep.
so therefore I can kind of speak of them collectively. That's what's being kind of laid down on every page. You're going to have to decide, says the page. You decide. Whatever
Yeah,
you decide, make it the worst happens. Or they did this, well, why bother making a conflict? Obviously, just it's not a conflict,
yeah,
right? So whatever, man. Say what happens next. I don't know what's
yeah.
happening in your game at this moment. How am I going to tell you? The
Yep,
the notion that it is still systemically bounded, but that uh you're not, the book isn't going to hold your hand after that point.
yeah,
I mean, I can't help but recall that you had been playing Sorcerer very intensely up in the years through making Apocalypse World,
yeah,
and
yeah.
were
No, of course, of
battling these
course.
things at the table, right? I mean, you were
Yeah,
encountering these issues. So yeah.
yeah.
um
Um, uh, one of the tricks, I say, one of the techniques of Apocalypse World is to be really handholdy, much more handholdy. I don't know, really handholdy, but much more handholdy about the questions you ask,
right,
and then let you answer freely, like
right,
let someone else answer those questions freely. And so I don't want to say directing the game, but sort of prompting the game
right.
by
Mhm.
curiosity, by asking, by raising questions and raising topics for the group or the GM or the other player to say, "Oh shit, I didn't think of that. Oh shit, I didn't
Mhm.
think of that." You know.
I
Uh,
think that happens at a bunch of different levels. Not all
yeah,
of them are formal,
yeah,
or even can not even all of them can be anticipated, certainly. But the formal one that has really jumped up for us is to pay attention for a given move as to who has the choice across the various
yep,
options. Because
yep,
sometimes it's the player and sometimes it's the game master, and I've realized that the difference in those is extremely precise, move by move.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that actually has helped us a lot in recognizing whose material is being acted upon by which other person at any given
yep,
time.
yep,
And so
yep.
that's a formal aspect of what you're talking about. Now, the less formal ones are just when your impulses are prompted, when you are inspired. The phrase I was using is inspiration. Inspiration and
Hmm.
expression is kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the words
That's good.
I've been after. And
Yep,
unfortunately,
yep.
just like all these other good words like discourse and community and innovation, these other really
Hmm.
good words, they've been totally fucked in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And so when I say inspiration and expression, I'm like, oh God, what tech bro is going to suddenly appropriate that and turn it into
Right.
something dreadful? Um, so, um, anyway, so
Speaking of apocalypses.
I was just thinking, maybe my whole Reagan era critique of the 60s and 50s is a bad thing, and I should have just gone on like with full saber tooth rage on exactly right now. But then again, I'm playing in a superhero game right now, and I do that routinely when I play superhero games,
Yeah.
so I'm already doing that.
That's really interesting. Okay, wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. So, in that sense, superhero games are now looking, an apocalypse world is backward looking. The post-apocalypse is backward looking.
For
That's
me,
really interesting.
for me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But I bet not only for you.
Well, in a way, we've been through a couple of illusory saved from the apocalypse. Our older siblings were saved from the
Ooh,
apocalypse
ooh,
in the mid
ooh.
60s because they went through the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
And then we may have been through our fake saved from the apocalypse by American triumphalism after 1991.
Yeah.
And
After 1991. What do you? Oh, after the Cold War.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, or as I like to say, if you think the Cold War is over, it means you're still fighting it. But that's,
Yeah.
um, but the deal with uh, this, I mean, and I don't know about any of us personally, because I found my experience of the 90s was one of impending dread, feeling like everybody is busy, drinking, everybody's busy breathing nitrous oxide, and I, I can't do it. But the sense that, okay, well, the bad old days, crazy people almost blew us all up, but that's all over
Right.
now. And if you're in a generation that maybe even is not going to undergo that, they don't have, it's not just a repeat for, I think, these younger people. It's not just a repeat of the whipped up fear and then the crash from the fear and the sense of almost sort of utopian progress after that. They um as you have rightly pointed out, it's a different generation. They actually, I think they kind of get it from the get-go
Huh.
in lots of ways. They're not they're not very there's no Tomorrowland, right, for them.
Yeah.
um and I think
Huh.
that that yes, so at least for me, there's some backwards lookingness about the apocalypse, even if I'm not particularly optimistic about the actual real world future. Um, the for me, when I play superheroes, and regardless of what year it's set in, but especially if it's contemporary, the sense of just drawing upon what I think of as the psychic maelstrom, if you will, and having
Mm-hmm.
that be what this is about is really visceral for me. That comes from
Yeah.
being a 70s Marvel Comics kid. And it's very, very directly, experienced. And it is a little bit of a shock to people who have a somewhat more movies and modern media approach or understanding of superheroes. They kind of take a minute and say, oh shit, this is real, right? This is, you're not fucking around, are you? It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I guess in playing Apocalypse World right now, I'm glad that I'm playing it with younger people so that their sensibilities are coming into it their way.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a better idea of what their worldview is that way.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
will say this for them. They are not just playing the fun, oh, the apocalypse is so awesome, I get to shoot mutants. They are not doing that. They are all about, yeah, man, it is really, really fucked. This is a terrible place. This is, I've kind of gone out of my way not to make the apocalypse cute and fun. And I didn't have to work at it. They were on that right away. So,
yeah. Yeah. In the young group that plays here, one of the things that takes me aback, like as I hear the after action reports from Toby, is just how much child abuse is in their worldview, in their like they are like this may not be the best way to say this. They're all in their early 20s. I guess the oldest is 25, and their apocalypse was in childhood, right? Like they're dealing with something that was their childhoods were apocalypses. It's wild. Anyway.
Right. And I get that. And also we can think in terms of cultural backdrop rather than personal experiences. So I'm not inferring anything about the people involved.
Very much so.
Right. But the fact that that's the cultural backdrop is actually well worth it. Well, the sense of betrayal that my own kids who are the twins are about to turn 19. And the sense of betrayal that they and their younger brother have toward anyone older than themselves is pretty profound. They're kind of like, why did you hand us this?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? They are on it. They can do the psychic maelstrom. They can do that. I was actually a little surprised at how readily from session 1 they were like, the psychic maelstrom. And I was kind of like, well, the concept is, and then I realized, I'll shut up now. There is no need to instruct. They are on it. The world is broken. I don't know why. There's a psychic maelstrom on it. And they were like, I'm opening my brain. And I'm like, whoa. All they need is input from me. They just need me to be expressive and do my part. I don't have to teach them a thing. In fact, I better not. I better listen. Sure, it's going to be different from any group of different people. Any different, set of 4 or 5 people or 6 people playing Apocalypse World is going to have a different profile by definition.
Yep.
But this is a very important thing to have a different profile about. There are different ways, right, that we come to it, and it's something that I think is very cool that the game is showing that it is not dated
Mm.
by year of publication and year of author's birth, right? It's
Mm.
not, which it makes me say, okay, I'm going to keep this one around. This one's coming to the next, to the next introduction to role playing, you know, event that I go to. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
So, sort of my thought on that. Cool.
That's really cool. That's really rad.
And I'm kind of curious, what are you playing these days, if anything?
Um, I played the most wonderful game. It's a little game, single session game called What Dust Remains.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Mometos? Is she after your time? She's a designer from the Philippines.
No, I don't know who she
Um,
is.
oh, okay. So so she wrote this little game, and it's very much in the modern prompt based
Right.
uh, um, style. So we collectively create a character who has a vision in the game for a legacy. Like we want to leave a legacy, right? Based on these really thoughtfully constructed prompts, decade by decade, this character's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
There's been some good stuff
uh,
along these lines, right? Wasn't Thousand-Year-Old Vampire like really good in this regard, for example?
I've never. Yes, I'm sure it is. I
Yeah,
hear
a
nothing
friend of
but good
mine
about it.
really, really talked it up, said it was not
Yeah,
just jacking off writing, at
yeah.
random prompts. It was actually really good. But anyway, so I know it can be done.
That's
Yeah,
what I hear.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But so we made up the coolest person we could think of. Um, so she's in an unnamed Mediterranean city in the 20s. She's she plays stand-up bass in a jazz combo, and by day works as a stevedore in the docks. Um, her best friend is in the 20s. He's just a guy, but he's on his way to rising up the ranks of the Union. She's an anarchist. She always dreamed that she would be a dancer, but she was too tall, and so she couldn't get gigs. So now, right? Like,
Well,
and
all I'm seeing is Emma Goldman with biceps, and I can't possibly, object to this image. So go on.
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. Um, Coolest person, like in her 20s, as we're following through these prompts, she's like playing the gig with the combo, and then she's staying behind to help the staff in the cafe clean up after the gig. Like we're falling in love with this person, right? And she uh her first big hit um
Oh, Vincent,
as a
am I
music
waiting for the
so
other
her
shoe? I'm waiting for the
oh
other
no,
shoe.
no, the other shoe is coming. There's another shoe. She her dream is to sing the song of the revolution, right? Her the legacy is she wants to be the voice of this utopian revolution, this anarchist revolution that's coming. Um, and so we're playing, and like I could tell you these stories about this character. If her discography existed, I would buy it. I would read every interview they ever conducted with her. Um, in the 30s, some fucker covers one of her songs, and it's a bigger hit than hers. But because he's a dude and he gender corrects it so that he is comfortable singing it, um, her sly, funny song about relationships becomes really normative and oppressive. And so, like, she
Totally. Yeah.
retires
Yeah.
her,
Mm-hmm.
like, and she has this crisis. She has this adopted little sister who is a street kid who, while she's sort of recovering, steps up in the band, and there's this conflict about whether the band is going to remain hers or become, and they resolve it beautifully. They each have different strengths, and they start to play on their strengths, and like their star, like she's really starting to now in her late 30s, she's really becoming like it's becoming a successful career. And then some fucker at the table, some complete shithead who is me, says, "So she's in her 40s now, right? So it's the 1940s?" And this chill hits the table.
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of the group and the prompt and the style, the really casual kind of Q&A kind of style of the game, there's this wonderful sensation of I can identify her, like I can see her balcony as she's climbing up the stairs, right, in the city, but also because of all the other players. So I have this very firsthand experience of her. But then also because all the other players are also making decisions from her, I can see her as a whole person outside myself. Like this gorgeous juxtaposition, this gorgeous sense of her as a person I know. And her story is happy. We evidently the game doesn't always go that way. We rolled a lot of sixes. But she still there are all of these compromises she makes. There's this point in the 40s where she's like, actually, what if it's fine if I don't give away in the 40s? We're talking about the city is occupied by the fucking Nazis, right? What if I don't sacrifice my relationship with my best friend in order to keep my legacy? What if I don't do that? What if I make the other choice? How important is it actually that I sing the song of the revolution? Right. Fantastic little game. Fantastic little game. We played it again under different circumstances, and we chose like a more fantastical setting.
Right.
And it didn't land. And I think it's important with that game. Like the game says you can choose anything you want, but I suspect it's really important to choose something we care about.
Right, right. Or if it is fantastic, then it's fantastic with a great deal of relevance. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, you have to kind of believe in the legacy, and you're thrown as a person into actually whether you're willing to sacrifice the person for the legacy or vice versa at some point.
Yeah.
In some way. And how sympathetic that may be given the circumstances and stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, we could all get worried. Oh no, the Imperial Alliance might catch her, but that's different from the Nazis catching her.
Sure is. Yeah. Sure is.